Hello everyone, Tom here. Thanks for clicking onto this video. In this video, I'd like to explain a scene in Howl's Moving Castle, using the storyboards where Mr. Miyazaki actually indicates that Sophie has transformed into an heroine. We already know that Sophie is the heroine of the story, but once this part happens, it almost feels like her aura changes. For the storyboards, there's many videos on YouTube that show what ekonte or storyboards are in Studio Ghibli, so I would recommend checking them out just to get a feel for them. Now, if we get past Mr. Miyazaki's chicken scratch, you might be able to read some of what he's trying to convey. A good deal of it is very hard for me to read, but sometimes I'm able to dig out some nuggets. For general information on how the page is outlined, I'll explain it here. So here you can see on the left-hand side, it says katto. Katto. So these are the cuts. Each cut scene lasts a certain amount of seconds, whether it's 2 seconds or 10 seconds. And in this case over here, you can see that this scene lasted for 6 seconds, 6.5 seconds. This section here is obviously where the animation is, and this section here is where Mr. Miyazaki communicates to his animators on the direction of how the scene should go, or how it should be drawn. And this section is the actual words spoken by the characters. So this scene starts at the point where the castle collapses because Sophie takes Calcifer outside. He then asks for a heart or eyes to have the power to move the castle. So let's go zoom in to this scene here quickly. Mr. Miyazaki writes Karshifa. This part I cannot read, this word. It says something something yori. Yori. And I thought it was itsumo yori, which is more than usual. And then this one, I think it says issun okiku natteru, which means in a moment he becomes bigger. So in other words, Calcifer is bigger than normal. But I saw the film and it doesn't seem like that reflects that statement. Another thing about Mr. Miyazaki is this letter here is a ru. I always get mixed up with that. It doesn't look like a ru. And this next box, this says Tomado, Sophie. Tomado is like perplexed or confused. So, you know, she's looking confused at what Calcifer is asking for. He's asking for a heart or eyes. So she doesn't know what to say. Okay. So the next line, it says, Me wa kanawanai. I think this is an "i" here. Kanawanai. And then the next line says, Satto osage o sashidasu Sophie. So, me, this one says, me wa kanawanai. I think it means she cannot match what he's asking for. So basically, she can't give an eye out. So she takes her braids out. It says satto, satto, meaning fast. Osage is braids. O sashidasu, meaning she just puts it out or shows him. And Sophie. Here it says Karshifa no te ga nobite ku. And this is a ku. It looks like a sheet. I got this. So it's kind of confusing. But if you read or if you see enough ekonte, you kind of see how he writes. So this means Karshifa no Calcifer's te ga nobite ku, meaning his arm reaches out or extends, which is what it's doing. This one says hasami to natte. So this is a na. Natte. Hasami to natte. It becomes a scissor. Osage o kiritori. Cuts the braid. So his hand becomes a scissor, which it does, like this. And it cuts the braid. This one says hidari te de kitte. Kitte. So he cuts it with his left hand. And that's what happens. Cool. So we go here, and it says Sophie no osage o. And that means Sophie's braid. Oh, he's going to do something to it. And the next line says Umasou ni ku karushifa. So he eats it deliciously, or he eats it with enjoyment. And it says here mogu mogu, which is munch munch. This one says wa to hikari no iro kawari. So wa means suddenly, and hikari is light, no iro kawari. Okay, so it's changing color. So wa to hikari no iro kawari. So his body changes color to what? This one says kuro, which is black. Kuroku natte. I'm not sure what this is. It's natte yaru or natte yaro. Make it black. I think that's what he's saying. But I guess we know because we watched the film and he turns black. Really cool color, actually. And then this line says odoroki, which is surprise. I do not know what this says here. This says mi, which is look. And this says mu. I have no idea what this is. If anyone knows, please tell me. But it says Sophie after that. So she's surprised. I'm thinking this means something like gaze or gawking or something like that, which she was doing. So this last part says sono wazuka na noridashi no, again the shi. This one says odoroki, which is shock. No nakade, in the midst of being shocked or in the midst of surprise. So no wazuka na, at that brief moment or at that brief sight, she leans forward in the midst of surprise. Osage ga hodoke, meaning her braids fall off or comes undone. And the next line says hara to fukuramu. Hara to fukuramu. Hara to means it's like a description of movement, or it says it's probably more like softly. Hara to fukuramu is to expand. So in other words, her hair softly expands. And I think in the movie you saw that her hair kind of loosens up and puffs up. Maybe puff up is a better word. Fukuramu, puff up. And the last one here says Heroine yoyaku tojo. Explanation. So heroine, yoyaku, finally. Arrival, tojo, or introduction. So the heroine has arrived. And if you really notice in the movie, she is more, I wouldn't say confident, but more like witch-like. She's no longer reactive to her environment. She knows she's more in control. And that's kind of what I notice after this scene. So I think Mr. Miyazaki intentionally made it like that, which is kind of nice that you could see the directions that he's giving his animators. Okay, that's about it. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any suggestions on what kind of scenes you want to see, I have the 4 ekonte for Spirited Away, Howl's Moving Castle, How Do You Live, or The Boy and the Heron, and Princess Mononoke. But I had one subscriber message me or made a comment that she wanted to know what was the deal with Honey's big tears when she came spying in, if those big tears actually had any meaning. So I'll post that next. But maybe this kind of ekonte video might be something people like. So let me know. Okay, thank you. Bye.